Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY Striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY Striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY Striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY Striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high-probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high-win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high-probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high-win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Sunday, January 9th, 18th. Hopefully everyone is having a great long weekend and is enjoying some wild card and playoff football. Today we have a jam-packed stream for you. We're going to go over a handful of names that are primed to make a move this week. We're going to go over some major catalysts we have lined up this week, and the market is ready. It's about to make a major move, so we're going to break it down and go over all the technicals for you. So again, let me know what tickers you have in the chat. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear the audio, if everything is good. Let's get started. First things first, we do have a jam-packed week. If you recall, last week we had CPI data, PPI data, unemployment data as well. We had a handful of red folder catalysts, which did have an impact on the market. This week, we do have, of course, tomorrow the market is closed for MLK Day. We do have President Trump speaking on Wednesday at 8:30. So this is going to be during that open, so we can see some volatility there. We have the WEF annual meeting. We have pending home sales on Tuesday as well. Right after that, PCE data is going to be critical. That's going to be the third piece of the inflation data. So we got the first two pieces of the inflation data up to this point. We got the CPI data, the PPI data. Now the PCE data will be the third piece to that inflation data. That'll give us a good picture of what the inflation numbers are looking like. We also have GDP numbers as well as core PCE, of course, and flash manufacturing PMI. So right after this week, I should say, next week is when we have the Fed decision. So things should get very, very interesting. So that's what we have primed. As well as we're starting to kick off, we're starting to ramp into earnings season. We have Netflix reporting tomorrow after the close. On Tuesday, we have a couple of companies reporting before the open, such as 3M. We have US Corp as well. Another notable name that will be reporting earnings is Intel. Intel will be reporting on Thursday. Capital One will be reporting on Thursday as well. We have McCormick that will be reporting Thursday before market open. We have Johnson & Johnson. We have a handful of names, but now we're starting to pick up some of the major names are starting to come onto the calendar. So let's get right to the chart. So right now we know that SPY is near those all-time highs. We're going to do top-down analysis from where we are, from the yearly, the quarterly, the monthly, the weekly to the daily, and some intraday activity as well. And we do have a host of names to go over. So I do have over 30 names, right? So it's on you to go over these names and see if any of these names do satisfy the criteria of your setups, right? It's going to be some strat setups. It's going to be some moving average setups. It's going to be some trend line setups. So I'm going to go over all these things, and now you get the chance to take these names and see if they line up with the things you do trade every single week. Just to give you a preview, we have about 30 names to go over, so we're going to try to keep it as value packed as possible. I don't want to go too long, but we do have all these names to go over, and there are some clean setups that could potentially appear on all of these names. Of course, I can't trade all these names, but I will talk about which are my favorite ones. So first things first, we're going to start off on SPY. SPY is the ETF that represents the entire market, the S&P 500. SPY, we know SPY is directional on all the time frames, which simply means we are higher than we were last year. Of course, on the yearly time frame, we're directional at the upside. Quarterly time frame, we're directional at the upside. Monthly time frame, we're directional at the upside. And one interesting thing that did take place on the weekly time frame, we got some sort of doji. You can argue this was a 3-up, almost an engulfer. I wouldn't classify this as an engulfer because the body didn't close above the high or the low. It could have went either way, but the body ended up closing near that weekly open. So we can lean towards this candle being a doji. So first thing is we know that doji signifies indecision or indecision on the weekly. So what that tells us right off the bat is we can get a potential inside day and harami on the weekly next week if we don't use the catalyst we have scheduled to make a move outside of these highs or outside of these lows, right? So again, we've made all-time highs for a few weeks now, back-to-back weeks. We did take a 1-week pause. So coming into a Tuesday, I should say, if we open up inside this range, right, things can get a little choppy. We can get some pushes to the upside, pushes to the downside. And I believe the real move will take place once we do break those highs. If we do decide to remain above the 50% retrace, we can continue to expand. Or if we break those highs, trap, wick, come back to the inside. Or if we break these lows, we continue to expand to the downside and maybe start to slide down to the downside as well. But I would say as long as this is inside, as long as this candle stays inside, on Tuesday, more than likely we're going to open up inside unless we have some sort of gap up or gap down. I would be very, very cautious and just wait for things to kind of settle. Of course, those setups will be there on the lower time frames for my scalp traders, but for the ones who do take those swings, for the ones who do take those bigger picture ideas, like to hold those positions for a few hours, you might want to wait until this weekly candle gets decided. As far as where the daily candle is on SPY, we can see on the daily candle, there's actually a third consecutive day of red candles. So just from a positional standpoint, directional standpoint, I know we got a hammer off that 9, hammer off that zone. We touched on that a couple of weeks ago, and last week as well on the last week's update, which I did post, right? But we can see we have 3 days, 3 red candles in a row. So 3 days of selling. We did gap down in this case and bounced up. But on Friday, we relatively closed weak, but we did get a nice little push last minute off of those lows. And of course, we're currently testing this key zone. This zone signifies the previous all-time highs. This zone, we had multiple interaction with this zone. We did reject off the zone multiple times. And of course, now we have that 9 EMA there. So really interested to see if we can start to push back the upside after testing the zone. If we fail to hold this zone, we can potentially see a slide to the downside, which signifies some exhaustion from coming from the weekly, and which can make this weekly candle really, really decisive here. Right, really decisive to the downside. So if you are looking to trade, so put in the chat, are you looking to trade once the candle becomes directional, meaning it breaks below the weekly or breaks above the weekly, or are you going to trade regardless, even if it breaks, if it stays inside that range? So put that in the chat. But we are at a point where we can see some chop coming into the week if we don't gap up. Okay, if we don't gap up, that's what's probably going to take place there. As far as what the Qs are doing, so QQQ, as far as what the Qs are doing, unlike SPY, QQQ, right, didn't make that all-time high. Unlike SPY, Qs didn't make that all-time high. So we're seeing divergence between the QQQs, which is more tech-related, and SPY. The Qs actually went double top. They kind of went double top there. They couldn't get above that 630. That 630 was on high watch all week, right? That's the primary level that I told everyone to pay attention to. If we can get above that, there'll be some signs of life to the upside. If not, we can start sliding to the downside. Now the Qs, if the Qs continue to see some selling pressure to the downside, we can see the Qs put pressure on the support line here. If they continue to sell off, we can start to see a break back to downside. So we want the support to hold on the Qs as we're seeing a little bit of weakness. Of course, it's still an uptrend. Of course, we're trading above that 9 MA still, that 20 MA. So nice little healthy pullbacks might be in store for the Qs. If you are going to try to play the Qs into all-time highs, I'm going to have that level remaining on the chart. That's 630. That 630 is going to be critical. That's the most critical level to the upside on the Qs. If we can get above 630 decisively, then you can play that all the way into all-time highs, which is 637.01. That's about a $7 push to the upside. So we went over SPY, we went over the Qs, we went over the Dow. Same story with the Dow. Dow pulling back slightly, so one day of a sell-off, unlike the Qs and SPY, which had those 3 consecutive days. But the one thing I want to bring to your attention, guys, is small caps. Small caps continue to outperform. Right out the gate, small caps continue to shine. And if we jump over to the weekly time frame for a second on small caps, which is an IWM, the Russell 3000 IWM, right, we can see this weekly candle, unlike SPY, which was a doji, unlike the Qs, which is a doji, unlike the Dow, which is a doji. If you take a look at the weekly candle, we're seeing IWM, a nice full directional continuation candle from last week's break. So we're seeing back-to-back all-time highs on the IWM. So if the IWM continues to show strength, once it gets above that 267.21, which is that current all-time high, that will signify a continuation to the upside. That means we continue to push the upside. If we can pull back slightly, that'd be great. I would like to see a pullback in the 257.28 territory, 257.30 territory for a nice little pullback bounce off of the prior all-time highs prior to this current week's push to the upside. But again, if you're a continuation trader, if you have some time behind those contracts, you want to wait for that break above that ATH, and this thing could continue to push. And let's see if the IWM can close out the month as the leader. So it started off the first 2 weeks of January with a ton of strength. It's in the lead, very decisive, a lot of buyers picking it up. Now let's see if it can carry that momentum to be the best performer out of the 4 indexes by the end of the month. So let's see if it can carry that performance into the end of the month. And I'll pay close attention to IWM. We have a ton of IWM traders on our team. So ton of IWM traders on our team. So things should be very, very interesting to say the least. So again, IWM has a strength, a little indecision on SPY on the weekly, a little indecision on the Qs, a little indecision on the Dow. But we know SPY and the Dow already made out those all-time highs, unlike the Qs, which didn't make those all-time highs. And again, guys, if you're just jumping in, make sure to smash the like button. Good evening, Arthur. Good evening, Harry. Good evening, Tatiana. Good evening, Jimmy. If you have any chart requests, put your chart requests in the chat. So first, we're just going to go over all the indexes. We're going to go over some names. Of course, gold continues to run to the upside. Gold, another all-time high. I did trade gold a few minutes ago, not too long ago. I did take a trade on gold. Beautiful setups on gold playing out. You can use ES as the inverse as gold, and the setups are so clean, especially those textbook setups. Compression breaks off VWAP. Very, very simple setups are working out on gold. So again, continue to milk those opportunities as long as they're there. As far as silver continues to push as well. Bitcoin 92K, so very impressive on Bitcoin. The question is, can Bitcoin stay above that 90K? Bitcoin needs to stay above that 90K, right? This is the weekly time frame if you look at it, because if Bitcoin can't stay above the 90K and we start to struggle, right? We did make a nice push and attempt to 95 and beyond, right? We pushed all the way to 97, right? If Bitcoin starts to crack here, breaks below this weekly candle's lows, so last week's lows, which was a shooter, if it breaks below that, this can be bad news for the Bitcoin buyers. Bad news for Bitcoin. Bad news for Bitcoin holders, because this is a textbook pattern, guys. If you know this pattern, this is the first leg to the downside, right? First leg to the downside. We see this pattern take place every few hours intraday when there's a continuous push to the downside or the upside. We can all clearly see there's a nice leg to the downside where it gets some accumulation. Let's see if we got that 50-50 going. If we got that 50-50 going, Bitcoin better hold that 90K, right? Bitcoin has to hold that 90K, or else this thing can start to slide to the downside and wipe out the hard-fought gains we saw over the past 2 weeks, right? Those hard-fought gains we saw over those past 2 weeks. If we do a 50-50 real quick on Bitcoin off of that nice leg, that leads us right into this territory here, guys, right into that 50-50 box. So this might be a 50-50 setup breakdown on Bitcoin brewing. We'll keep a close eye on that from a sentiment standpoint. But Bitcoin couldn't get above that 97, 98, got to 98, got to 97, started to show some weakness, didn't have enough strength to get to that 100 psychological level, now starting to fade. So Bitcoin does look a little concerning from a technical standpoint here. We do have a nice little compression break that can play out on Bitcoin, so pay close attention to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin on a high watch. Of course, silver and gold continue to push the upside, and IWM continue to push the upside. So think about it from this perspective. Small caps and precious metals such as silver and gold are leading the way so far, right? Small caps and metals are leading the way up into this point. So let's get right into the watch list, what we have in store for you guys today. So over 30 stocks. All these stocks have different setups. So if you have any questions about these names, let me know. If you have any other ticker requests, let me know. Do me a favor, smash the like button. And if we can get a lot of likes, if we can get a lot of traction behind these videos, we'll continue to do this every Sunday night, right? To go over the names, to really share those ideas and put you in position to capitalize off these opportunities. So let's jump right into it. So first things first. So in no particular order, Apple is first. Apple is first on watch. So Apple, I want to bring Apple to your attention just from the daily perspective right here. So the daily time frame, we can see Apple has this critical area where it previously struggled to get above, and it got above it decisively. Once it did break above this territory, more specifically the zone is between that 257.30, 257.36, 260.21. Okay, previous resistance, we break, continue to push, we get above it, everything is looking good, and then Apple comes right to the zone. I said pay attention to Apple last week, right to the zone, and it couldn't get back above that 260. 260 couldn't hold above that 260, and now we have this major sell-off, can't hold that 50 MA, it's starting to break down. So Apple, guys, Apple is looking very bearish at the current moment if we don't get any correction. So if it's creating that clear separation away from the zone, if Apple can't seem to reclaim the zone, this territory becomes a rejection zone, and Apple can potentially start sliding into this territory here, the 240s, the 245, 247 territory. And Apple does have some major support when it into this territory near that 200 EMA, right? So maybe you might want to find a landing spot in there. But we know Apple does report earnings on January 26th. No, not January 26th. What's the exact date? Right. So Apple, January, right before the end of January, looks like right beginning of February. Right. So you can look up the exact date. But again, Apple does have earnings. The fact that Apple failed to get above that territory shows us there's a lot of weakness. So now we can see this on the daily. That 50 MA failed to hold. Right, failed to hold. We did get a couple of buyers stepping in. We went 2-1-2, start to slide to the downside. Okay, what noted. Let's go to the weekly real quick. When we go to the weekly team, what we can see here is on the weekly time frame, Apple is already continuing. So Apple has actually been on a sell-off for the past 3 weeks. Apple has been selling for the past 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3. So now if Apple breaks below these lows on the weekly, right? Breaks below these lows on the weekly, we can anticipate Apple, right? Apple is essentially in continuation mode. What that means is, if you're looking for a reversal, the reversal has to take. There has to be signs of reversal. At this particular point, you might assume that, hey, we might get a reversal, a bounce off that 20 MA. That 20 MA bounce was insufficient for us to make a dramatic move to the upside. It held for a few days, but we continued to sell off. So now, for us to continue selling, we do have this gap on the weekly, which is a major gap. We're coming to these couple of critical gaps here on the weekly. But if Apple breaks below that 249.99 or last week's lows, right, 250. Right, if Apple breaks below that 250, we can continue to slide all the way to the downside on the weekly. We can see on the quarterly, Apple's already directional. Strat combo went 2 up, 2 down. Once it broke below that 266.81, it was selling. And so Apple has room to drop all the way on that quarterly, I should say, that quarterly target on Apple, that downside target is all the way at that 244.02 territory. If we take that all the way back to the daily time frame, that lands us right in that territory here. So again, Apple, if we can't get enough buyers stepping in, if we can't get any buying activity there, Apple can start to slide all the way back to this territory here, and that can present a nice opportunity for buyers to step back in and take advantage of it. Why high confluence area? We do have a 200 EMA there. We do have previous resistance. We're going to encounter this gap, potential gap fill, and of course we hit exhaustion on the quarterly. So Apple, pay close attention to Apple. Apple, you're looking to take advantage of a continuation on that weekly if it continues to sell off. Next name is Amazon. Interesting about Amazon, Amazon stands out to us because Amazon is directional on the quarterly. But more than that, Amazon, the reason why I was paying attention to Amazon is because Amazon is sitting right at support. Amazon is sitting right at that support territory. I got that nice little support bounce on Amazon. Right, nice little support bounce. We're kind of watching it last week. Right, nice little 212 on Amazon. Right, bounced. Now it's 212, holding that 90 MA. Let's see if Amazon decides to continue to push after selling off. But Amazon is not, I wouldn't say it's a high conviction, high confluence type of trade idea. We're seeing some time frame conflict. We're still inside on the yearly, still inside on the quarterly. We're directional on the 3 month here, right? On the 1 month here, we're directional on the 1 month, but not on the quarterly. So maybe a nice little bounce on Amazon after going inside and going hammer. So Amazon, there might be an opportunity there. Amazon, pay attention to Amazon above that 240.25, 240.25. That 240 psychological level will be critical on Amazon as well. It's basically lining up with these highs. Amazon, you're looking for a reclaim, a nice push above these highs, right? Nice push back above these highs. Amazon was on a tear to kick things off. In 26, first couple of weeks. Amazon out the gate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, continuous push to the upside. So let's see, based on this 212, if we can go 2 down and 2 up, back the upside after going hammer. Although we don't have full continuity, we can see some activity on Amazon, potentially pushing back to the upside on Amazon. Next name is Tesla. So Tesla, the reason why I like Tesla is, first of all, Harami. Okay, Tesla is inside on the daily. We're also seeing Tesla directional on all the other time frames. Tesla is directional on the weekly. TSM. So TSM, Taiwanese Semiconductor, okay? TSMC. So TSMC, the logo kind of looks like Tesla. TSMC, a semiconductor name, is directional on the yearly. Okay, let's take a look at the yearly candle, right? We broke above 2025's highs. We continue to push, right? We're seeing buying there, buyers on the yearly. We're seeing buyers on the quarterly. We're seeing buyers on the monthly. We're seeing buyers on the weekly. And now TSM is inside on the daily. So what that means is we got this nice little inside candle on the daily, but the only issue with TSM, guys, is so close to exhaustion, so close to those all-time highs. So again, you can take that 212 if you do trade that consolidation break setup on individual names. Try to take it above that Friday's highs, break above those highs. But I would say even to get an earlier entry, right, on TSM, that 349.54, 349.84 territory at 350 will be critical. That psychological level. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're seeing TSM right at that 249.84 territory, but that might be a little late to the party, right? If you take the 212 breaks, strat combos, or if you take the break of a Harami candle, you know you're buying high, looking to sell higher. There might be something intraday that does stick out to me on TSM here. So TSM, we know Friday's highs. My Friday's highs are all the way up here, but going into Tuesday, we might see a nice little compression break to the upside on TSM if we have continued strength across the semiconductor names. Right, there might be a little bit of strength there, and that leads us right into the break. That leads us right into the break, and that leads us right into all-time highs on TSM. So that break level, right, that break level to enter is here, right? So by the time we get to that territory, if you're already relatively in position off of this break, right, you can really take advantage of that move back the upside. So TSM is on high watch. There's a couple of ways to enter it. You can pay attention to that hourly 4-hour downward compression. Nice little flag pattern there. You can kind of see it. We did make a nice push. We did gap up. TSM is nearing exhaustion, so just be aware of that. But TSM does have an inside candle on the daily, and it has full time frame continuity on the higher time frames. So all of the higher time frames are bullish. We're seeing some consolidation on the daily. If we break above that high, that can set us up nicely to the upside into those all-time highs. Only thing is, the warning is, exhaustion at all-time high. So be aware of that. Next name is Google. So unlike TSN that had the inside candle, Google also has a time frame continuity across the board, which that simply means is on the higher time frames, we are seeing the same type of candle. We're seeing a little bit of exhaustion on the weekly on Google. So if you're bearish on Google, you might be getting a little excited here, right? You might be getting a little excited here. You do see this nice little shooter candle on the weekly. You get a break below that shooter's lows. You might try to short it back at that 9, back into this target down here, right? I'm not a big fan of shorting Google, right? But if you are looking to short Google, break below that 325.70 territory, get that nice little break, just define your risk. You can see a nice little slide to the downside. That's if this level doesn't hold. The reason why I don't want to short it at that particular area is because of this major area where Google might start to get active and buyers might start to re-engage. We did identify this nice little flag on Google that played out beautifully. And now as Google starts to pull back slightly, if Google can start trailing in a little bit, right, and then comes into this territory, and at this particular point, go hammer, 2 down, 2 up, things can get very interesting for a nice little setup back to the upside, because at 9 a.m. it gets up to that zone, 9 a.m. it gets up to that this territory, and we can see a nice push on Google back to upside. So Google, potential bounce watch on Google, right, potential bounce watch on Google if we can continue to slide between that 325.01, 326.95, 325.01, 326.95. Pay close attention to that territory. So you want to welcome a little bit of selling, a little more selling, right? You want to see a little more selling activity to come with that territory, and then you want to see clear buyers stepping in. At least have multiple areas of confluence, and you can potentially take advantage of setup there. It will be better if the 9 a.m. is there as well. We can tend to see that Google does respect that 9 really well. It's been respecting that 9, especially on this current run it's on. Right, nice little compression break, potential nice push back to upside again. Right, so again, pay attention to Google. There's nothing as far as on the daily. You just want to see continued selling, maybe another day of selling, and then that daily candle potentially closing out as a hammer. Right, if we can get that, that'd be great on Google. Next name is Palantir. Palantir looks very interesting to the downside. Palantir looks interesting to the downside. The reason is Palantir is inside on the yearly, inside on the quarter, inside on the monthly. So I'm really interested in this monthly formation here on Palantir. So Palantir does look interesting to the downside on this monthly if we can get this break below this candle's lows. So this is the current month, guys. This is the current month of January. That's where that candle is. And we have, of course, December's candle right here. So we're inside, double inside. This month, this candle has about 11 days left because January still has a little bit of time left. But now if we break these lows on Palantir, if we break last month's lows, we can start to slide to the downside. That's going to go a 3-2 reversal back to downside, okay? Where we're pushing, we're starting to reverse back to downside based on that nice little move. And if we translate that to the weekly we're already selling off on the weekly. So on the weekly, it's a continuation. On the monthly, it's a reversal. And on the daily, look at that daily candle from Friday. That daily candle is as bearish as it gets. We had a complete bearish engulfing candle forming, and we even closed below that 50 EMA on Palantir. So Palantir, pay close attention to Palantir. Of course, if you're playing it on the daily, from the daily time frame, what you're looking for is a break below those lows. If you're bearish, you're looking for a break below those lows, a continuation type of setup. On the daily, you're not playing the reversal. You're playing the 3-2 continuation to the downside. If you play the 3-2 continuation, which simply means the previous day was a bearish engulfing candle, and you're taking the bearish engulfing candle's break into lower lows, right? Where does that lead us? Of course, with a target all the way at that 106.59. 106.59 is at 166.59. 166.59 will be the next target. That gives you about $3 to $4 runway there, to say the least. So Palantir does look a little bullish there. If we reclaim back above the 50 EMA, take out that 182.45, we can switch the bias. Primarily that 180 psychological will be critical. Next name here is Robinhood. Robinhood is coming into this very, very interesting support. So Robinhood, first touch support, second touch, third touch, fourth touch, fifth touch of support, really close to that 200 EMA. That might even be this SMA. Market looks weak at all with all that news. Absolutely, cop ETF. We'll take a look at that. If you have any ETFs, guys, any tickers, put your tickers in the chat. If you're finding value from the stream, we can do this more often. Every Sunday, go through a long list of the names. These names have tons of different setups, so it's on you to take one of these names and do your due diligence. By no means am I telling you to buy, sell, or anything by talking about these names, but it's on you to do your due diligence. Okay, so again, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a first-time viewer, let us know you're joining us from the chat. So we can see here Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD. Bounce, 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 bounce. A lot of traders do use Robinhood, right? A lot of beginner traders do use Robinhood to first start trading, first start investing. So they're in this very interesting support territory here on Robinhood. Right above that, okay, that 200 EMA on the daily. If we take a look at Robinhood, here, guys, let's take a look at Robinhood on the weekly. Does Robinhood, put in the chat, does Robinhood look bullish or bearish on the weekly? Does Robinhood look bullish or bearish on the weekly, right? So the Robinhood, we can see the selling pressure continued for 3 weeks. Okay, 3 weeks, we got a hammer, still sold off, failed 2 up, starting to push back the downside. So Robinhood might have a little more selling left to do because that next target of a break below that weekly low is right there at that 102.24 territory. If we take that 102.24 territory, translate it to the daily, we can see Robinhood selling off on the monthly. Robinhood 212 to the downside. We can see Robinhood as well on the 3 month, on the quarterly. Look at Robinhood is looking to potentially go 2 up, 2 down, right? So Robinhood looks very, very bearish on the higher time frames, bearish on the weekly, bearish on the monthly, is leaning towards becoming bearish on the quarterly. But the main thing is, guys, I think buyers could potentially step up in this territory. If we can see some bullish activity in this territory, we might see some buyers step in. If buyers don't step in here, we will trigger that quarterly. If buyers don't step in off the support at 200 EMA, if we just slice right through that, we slice right through it like butter, right? I'll adopt that bearish line of thinking, right? So I'll adopt that bearish line of thinking, but it's very hard for me to be short at support, right? So note that it's very difficult, right, to make a living going short off of support unless you get clear data telling you that the support has flipped to resistance, right? So typically I want to be short at the resistance into support, but for me to start adopting shorts off of support, right, it has to clearly break below those lows, and I have to see something on the higher time frame. So in this case, I'm looking to looking at this bearish setup on the quarterly. I know I have to be below the 200 EMA for this to come to fruition. I know price needs to be below that 200 EMA, which is at 103.14. All right, for this quarterly candle to go 2 up, 2 down to the downside. All right, Robinhood is still inside on the yearly. All right, so very, very important. So I'm leaning a little bullish here on Robinhood, see if we can get one more candle hammer. If we can break above this candle's highs, we can use that support as a nice, that would verify that a bounce off support. So we can see here, guys, we can see, okay, doji candle, nice 3 down hammer there. We can see that nice little hammer doji there. If we get above this daily candle's highs, 111.33, we can see a nice 2 down, 2 up. Right, if we slice right through this, slice right through 200 EMA, then I'll start adopting that bearish line of thinking. All right, so again, but now I like this Robinhood support. Pay attention to that 111.33. Pay attention to 111.33. Okay, pay attention to that 111.33 on Robinhood. Next ticker, XYZ. Okay, put in the chat on the daily chart on XYZ. Will you be bearish or bullish on XYZ? XYZ Square, formerly known as Square, of course, Block, Cash App. All right, so XYZ, what is it looking like, guys? Because we can see XYZ on the daily. We can even stretch this all the way here, possibly. Probably not. On the daily, we can see XYZ is trading in this channel. XYZ is channel bound. XYZ is channel bound, trading below all those EMAs. XYZ bouncing off that support currently. Let's take a look at the higher time frame. XYZ just went trigger that to the downside. XYZ is inside on the quarter. XYZ is still inside on the yearly. So XYZ has been selling off for quite some time, guys. XYZ had its heyday in 2021, sold off, a couple of back-to-back years or 3 years in a row where it hasn't really went anywhere. So XYZ, three-year consolidation on XYZ hasn't really went anywhere. For this to reverse on the yearly, okay, keep this in mind. For this to reverse on the yearly, if you're looking for leaps on XYZ, you're paying attention to this yearly candle. Because what you're looking at, okay, what you're salivating over is this push to the upside. Not all the way to all-time highs, but leaps, okay, in years, maybe a potential push to the 150s, 160s, and a potential push all the way up there. So XYZ, if you're on leap watch, I would say leap watch above 94.23, 95 psychological level, decisive reclaim. Above that level. If it doesn't get above that level, then it's going to continue to be in this now 4-year consolidation. If we break these lows, if we break the lows of this yearly candle, 2025's candle, right, that's going to be that 44 territory. More than likely, we'll see buyers stepping in off of those levels, picking it back up as that support, right? I wouldn't feel comfortable shorting it there. But again, XYZ, bigger picture, this might be a leap opportunity above that 94. It's going to require some patience, so keep paying attention to that. But as far as where the weekly is concerned, XYZ is trading in this channel. It did bounce off the support of this channel. It is kind of a mixed bag on XYZ as far as the time frames, a little bit of conflict on the higher time frames, but we're seeing a nice little bounce off that support. If you think there's a legit bounce, of course, you have those EMAs in the way. There might be some momentum to push to the upside, right? If you trade channels, there might be some momentum to the upside, and then we start to fade. If you think this is just a last minute bounce before the breakdown, right? You want to see a nice little breakdown on support, continue to push back to downside. Okay, so very, very important to pay close attention to that. XYZ, more paying attention to this channel, bigger picture. Not looking to take any trades on XYZ, but that leap idea on XYZ does look appealing above some levels there. Next name is United Health. United Health, very similar to XYZ, with the difference with United Health is it's inside on this daily candle, and it did break below the support. United Health broke below support, broke below those critical EMAs. Of course, United Health is in death cross mode. What that means is that the 200 EMA is above that 50 EMA, so death cross mode. We're in a downtrend. United Health goes inside on Friday. If we break below this inside candles lows, 330.63 territory, we can see a continued slide to the downside in United Health into that 321 territory. If we break above this candle's highs, we can potentially start pushing back the upside, 212 back the upside. If it goes 212 to the downside, we start to slide. We confirm the break of the support, and we continue to sell off on United Health. If we take a look at United Health on the weekly, we can see United Health, right? Again, we're already direction on the weekly. We're just going to continue on the week to sell off. If we take a look at it on the monthly, let's take a look at United Health on the monthly. A lot of exhaustion candles on those monthly candles. You can see exhaustion, right? Buyers getting exhausted. A lot of exhaustion candles, and we're seeing in this candle as well. This January candle team, we can see this turning into a shooter, right? A shooter candle. It still has 11 days to form, but we're seeing a ton of weakness here on United Health, UNH, right? So we can't see that breakdown continue to take place on UNH after it got back into the jaws of that gap down. United Health couldn't catch a break last year in 25. Right, it made some strides, got above it, now got above this gap, now started to slide back to downside. Where do I like it at Health? I like it in this green box down here. Right, so this might be this breakdown might segue us into this gap, and eventually here, not in one day, but it might take some time. But United Health is starting to show some weakness after breaking support, after going inside. So break it below Friday's lows on United Health can present opportunity to the downside. As far as AMD is concerned, another inside day on AMD. So these are the names that are inside Harami on the day. So AMD, interestingly enough, guys, AMD is directional on the weekly. If you're a swing trader, you're paying attention to this weekly candle on AMD. What do you see on this weekly candle on AMD? What do you see on this weekly candle on AMD? Does this look bearish or bullish? Right? Does this weekly candle on AMD look bearish or bullish? Right? Does it look bearish or bullish on AMD, this weekly candle? This candle on AMD on the weekly, from the weekly lens, is as bullish as can be. It doesn't get any more bullish than this. All right? It doesn't get any more bullish than this. All right? So now this might be a very similar setup to, keep putting it on, but it's a different color. This might be a very similar setup to, okay, TSM. So now TSM, a lot of the semiconductor names are starting to show some promise as they're directional, having that one-day pause on the weekly, direction on the weekly, having that one-day pause on the daily. So we can see we're bullish on the weekly time frame on AMD. When we drop down to the daily, we're seeing what kind of activity, guys, on the daily. We're seeing an inside day on the daily, which suggests to us that on Friday, we were just consolidating. Now, unlike TSM, which is at those all-time highs, unlike TSM, if AMD breaks above, right, if AMD breaks above that Friday's high, 234.44, mark it out on your chart, right? Your level might be a little bit different, but that general area, okay? I'm just giving you for a relative idea to pay attention to, right? If it breaks above that, okay, if it breaks above that decisively, we can get a continuation reaffirming that weekly candle, okay? Reconfirming that weekly candle to the upside. So unlike TSM, we do have more room to run to the upside, all right? We do have some more room to run to the upside, unlike TSM. If we break below this candle's lows to the downside, AMD might try to entertain this gap up that it saw on a Wednesday and try to maybe fill it or maybe try to work with it. But AMD on high watch here. Definitely pay attention to AMD. Pay attention to Friday's highs for potential break. and it continue to push higher, playing that weekly time frame candle. So in this case, it's very important if you're playing that weekly candle. If you're using options, my options traders know, buy yourself a little bit of time. So at least 1 month out to give yourself some time to be right. Okay, so we're seeing AMD still inside on the quarter, still inside on the yearly, but AMD's already directional, guys, on the quarterly. Okay, on the monthly, I should say. On the monthly, AMD's already directional. We went inside back-to-back months. So in November, we were inside. December, we were inside. We broke above that candle's highs. So the next target on AMD, according to this monthly candle, is all about that 263 territory. But again, this is a monthly candle, and we'll have room to that ATH on AMD. So AMD might be a name to pay attention to if the semiconductor space continues to take off. Right behind that is SMCI. So you guys get the theme, right? So SMCI, very similar to AMD. It's not inside on the daily. We're seeing this massive 2-day continuation, 2-day break, right? So 2-day trade. So 1 day, 2 day, potential 3-day continuation. But more importantly, team, is the importance of this weekly candle. This weekly candle, engulfing candle off of support, right? Okay, this is clear support. Engulfing candle off of support. You can even make the argument there's this massive inefficiency. If you trade smart money concepts, this inefficiency in the jaws of the support, we're seeing as SMCI bounce on the weekly. So same thing, SMCI has a couple of EMAs it needs to encounter, but SMCI is going to be critical to pay attention to. And SMCI above this daily candle's highs, which is at 3302, right? If you're playing that break on the weekly, you're buying yourself some time, right? You have to take it above that continuation point. So in this case, you're playing continuation on the weekly. It does look bullish on the weekly there. Next name, CSX. CSX, of course, railroad name here. So we're all over the place. Okay, we're not only in the semiconductor names, we're covering a lot of names on the stream. So again, on the weekly, CSX, weekly type of idea. CSX is bouncing off that support. Nice engulfing candle off of support. That's what I like to see. All right, you can see nice little support there. The EMAs on the weekly are still, they're nice and clean. So let's see if CSX continues to push. CSX, right? We can see TSX is trading in that channel. Let's see if there's more of a continued move to the upside on CSX. CSX is an industrial name in this territory, and it starts to show some signs of exhaustion. So there might be some room. There might be the beginning of a push to that 3750 territory on CSX. It started at 35. It doesn't move like these tech names, but CSX might want to pay attention to it. If you like to trade a slow and steady name, CSX might be a name to pay attention to. On the daily, nice little hammer on the daily. On the monthly, right, it's inside. On the quarterly, it's inside. On the yearly, it's inside. So it doesn't have that full continuity. So more of that weekly time frame does look appealing on CSX, along with the fact that we did go hammer on the daily. Next name, ticker symbol MO. Okay, so this is MO. Okay, so pay attention to MO. Nice little, same thing with CSX. Look at that candle there. But more of MO, ticker symbol MO. We're paying attention to this monthly candle. You see this monthly candle, nice and bright green, nice engulfing candle on the monthly. You need to do your technical due diligence, right? So see if it continues to push the upside. So if that, based on that monthly candle is directional, we're seeing a nice push on the quarterly candle. Weekly candles out of here. So let's see if we get some sort of pullback, bounce off some prior resistance territory on MO. Full transparency, I do like the monthly candle on MO, but I haven't traded an MO, so pay attention to the spreads. But that monthly candle does, if anyone does trade MO, they do have earnings, but that monthly candle does look as bullish as can be. Next name, MSTR. So not MS, next name, MNST. Not to be mistaken with MSTR, MicroStrategies. This is a Monster Beverage. Okay, Monster Beverages. All right, so again, look at Monster Beverages, guys, as bullish as can be. On the yearly, we are directional to the upside on the yearly. If you take a look at this chart on a Monster Beverage, this is an amazing, amazing chart, right? This is the kind of chart you want to see. So we continue to push directional on the yearly. Buyers are there. Quarterly buyers are there. Monthly buyers are there. Weekly buyers are there. So what do I like? MSTR. All right, so when there's full time frame continuity, you want to see an inside candle on the daily, okay? Or you want to see a reversal pattern on the daily take place, okay? So you want to see if this can push us back into continuity. So now a break above these highs. A break above this high on MSTR will be very interesting. 76.73 for a nice little push. Is that into ATH? I believe that's into ATH. So unfortunately, this is very similar to TSM. Very similar to TSM. That situation is very similar to TSM. A break of that consolidation leads us to the all-time highs. And of course, whenever we trade into all-time highs, the fear of exhaustion is going to always be there. It's looming. Next name. Next name is going to be ticker symbol CL. Okay, CL, this is Colgate. Okay, we've all seen Colgate in the grocery store. We know they dominate, basically the monopoly on one side of the grocery store. So Colgate, the reason why it looks very interesting to me, guys, right? Colgate, not a lot of people are paying attention to it, but Colgate is bouncing off of this critical, look at this, critical resistance. You see, rejection. We break, we come back into it, we bounce. The trade might have kind of ran away from us in this case. We're seeing that continue push higher, but it's just getting started, guys. It's just getting started on the monthly. On the monthly, we're just getting started. So this might be a name to pay attention to going into February, right? If we continue to see a move on the staples, if we continue to see a move into the staples, right? Might be a name we can pay attention to into February. We know we're directional on the quarterly. We're directional on the monthly. We're directional on the weekly. We're yet to be directional on the yearly, though. The only thing inside is that yearly candle. So we might have a little bit of room to run to the upside on Colgate. And now Colgate on the daily, it just reclaimed that 200 EMA. And now it's coming to a critical juncture. You can see Colgate has this nice resistance. It's going to give this resistance a run for its money. Boom. So Colgate on the verge of a breakout, ticker symbol CL. Right? Ticker symbol CL. Some people like to trade it as stocks. All right, individual name. Do your fundamental due diligence. I should say equity. So Colgate on the verge of a break. Pay attention to Colgate on that break. And this further data might be interesting on there on Colgate. Next name is Uber. So Uber, very similar to Robinhood. We're seeing Robinhood United Health. We're seeing some pressure on that resistance. But higher time frames, guys, Uber has some conflict. So it's not the cleanest, but we are seeing, move to the downside. Nice little leg under 200 EMA. So nice little bear flag under 200 EMA. We'll see how Uber plays out. We do have this resistance here as well. Somewhat of a symmetrical triangle bilateral pattern forming on Uber, right? So let's see what does take place. Do we treat this as support? We push the upside. Do we treat this as, do we break below it? All we know is Uber is inside. The only issue is Uber is indecisive on the higher time frames. There's no clear direction. Okay, next name. Next name is ticker symbol ARM. ARM. Okay, ARM is the next name. ARM, again, this is as bearish as can be on ARM. Let's take a look at it from the quarterly standpoint, right? We're directional to the downside on the quarter on ARM. We are take a look at the monthly standpoint, where as bearish as can be, 3 months in a row. We're taking a look at it on the weekly standpoint. We got a nice little dead cat bounce on the weekly. 1 week we bounced. We started completely collapsed to the downside. And now ARM on the daily, nice little flag on the daily, right? Not off the EMA, but a flag nonetheless. Nice little compression break, potentially brewing on ARM, ticker symbol ARM. If this inside candle low gets broken to the downside, we can start breaking back the downside all the way back into some critical levels. We can see ARM overextended, right? And let's see if there's a nice little continuation that awaits us all the way to this territory here, this critical area of support, right? So if you're a buyer on an ARM, you're probably waiting for this territory here. So again, if you're a buyer, you want this thing to continue to dump. If you're looking to short ARM, that's a legitimate case to short this, right, as the weekly continues. And then now we can see that nice little compression break on ARM. Inside candle break the downside below that 105.17 territory. So 105 psychological level will be on high watch on ARM as we're directional on the weekly. We're bearish on the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and we're inside on the yearly. Next name, UPS. So UPS is off to a hot start. UPS is directional. That was a name I was paying attention to last year, of course. I got beat up. UPS is reversing on the quarterly. Reversed on the quarterly to the upside. Bullish. On the monthly, UPS is bullish. 2 months in a row. UPS is on a tear. On the weekly, we're getting a nice pause, guys. Nice little pause on the weekly. This might be what we need. If you're looking to take advantage of UPS, this might be what you need on the weekly. A nice little pause. And during that pause, is it going to pull back? Right? Anywhere in this weekly candle, as long as it doesn't break these lows, that can be a pullback. Right? So this weekly candle is inside. If it breaks above this weekly candle's highs, right? If it breaks above this weekly candle's highs, then the upside move continues. We're taking a 1 week pause on the weekly, and it continues the upside. If it breaks below these lows, of course, on the weekly, of course, we can maybe start to slide to the downside and test these highs, those prior resistance areas for a nice little pull. So breakout on the weekly or continuation on the weekly brewing on UPS above that 108.95, 108.90 territory on UPS. As far as the daily is concerned, if you're looking for that nice little pullback on the daily, okay, this is as textbooks as it gets. On the daily, we got this resistance here, 104.23. We got the 9 EMA there. We did go with the EMAs are starting to cross. We're on the verge of going golden cross as well on the daily. This is a textbook uptrend. Textbook uptrend being formed on UPS, right? So nice little textbook uptrend, bounce, and if we can come back, pull back slightly on the weekly, just enough for it to use this and then push back up. That opportunity is there on UPS between 104.23, 105 territory, multiple areas of confluence there, 3 areas of confluence on UPS to pay close attention to. So again, if you want to play continuation on UPS, the case can be there. If you want to play pullback bounce off that territory, that's also there. You're going to just have to exercise patience for that 104.23 and that 105 psychological level. Next name, TGT, Target. Target is on the verge of reversal as well on the yearly. Look at Target. Okay, we've been talking about Target last year. Target got above 100. Target continues to push. Now Target's going to put some pressure on this channel here. Okay, Target is directional on the quarter. Target is directional on the, you can notice I have some old drawings there. Target is directional now on the monthly. Target is now directional on the weekly. All right, so Target has been on a tear. This is what I want to see on UPS. Inside on the week, break. So Target is on a tear and it broke above this major resistance. It blasted past that major resistance on the weekly. Got above that 100. It's above that 110. It's at 111.28 now. Right? So Target is on a tear on the weekly. For the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, guys, Target has been pushing to the upside. 7 out of the last 8 weeks, Target is bullish. 1 week of consolidation. So on the daily, Target is inside. Textbook. Target is inside. So for my traders that want to take advantage of Target on the short term, right? Not the 0 DTEs. There's no 0 DTEs on Target, but at least two weeks out, right? Target break above this candle's highs, that daily candle's highs, right? That might trigger that continuation on the daily at 111.75, right? 111.75. So again, pay close attention to Target. Next name, Dollar Tree. So another name that's directional on all the higher time frames and inside. Same thing, right? Break above that 141.79. Okay, 141.79 break will be interesting there. Nice little breakout, nice little continuation setup on Dollar Tree. Next name, DG, Dollar General. Right, it's very similar to Dollar Tree, but Dollar General is pulling back slightly, and it's showing some signs of aggression on all the higher time frames. So Dollar General, we know Dollar Tree is pushing. So Dollar General, I'm looking for a hammer on Dollar General. If it continues to sell off, I'm looking for a hammer on Dollar General at 146.08. Hammer off of that level, continuation back to the upside, reversal. Right, so 2 down, 2 up, back the upside. So if Dollar General sells off of one more day, we get a nice little hammer here. And on Wednesday, we break above that hammer. We can see Dollar General starting to push back the upside. All right, so hammer candle needed on Dollar General. All the higher time frames are in unison. They're all in continuity. Next ticker is STZ. Right, this is a Constellation Brands. Okay, STZ Constellation Brands. Again, inside on the daily. Inside on the daily, right, consolidation candle on the daily at the 200 EMA. At the 200 EMA, inside on the daily. So STZ, a little overextended on the daily. STZ, I've had shares at some point of STZ, but never traded options on it. So again, do your due diligence. But STZ is bullish on the quarterly, bullish on the monthly, 3 months, 4 weeks of bullish activity. 3 out of the 4 weeks bullish activity. So decisive reclaim of that 200 EMA, 212 decisive reclaim on STZ can put us north of 160, and things can start getting interesting on STZ. Above that 157.71, so pay close attention to STZ there. Next name, Chevron, CVX. So this is one of the names I will be personally, I can't trade all these names. My watch list can't be this long, but I have to bring all these names to your attention so you can go through the names that align with your style of trading. The names that align with your style of trading. So for me, CVX. I thought I said CVS. CVX, okay, Chevron is a name I'm paying attention to. Okay, for those of you who are joining for the first time, I do go live every single day at 9:30 a.m. on YouTube, and we trade SPY. I do have a SPY dedicated community where we trade SPY every single day, a live trade mentorship community. We primarily focus on SPY intraday, scalping SPY, day trading SPY, taking advantage of opportunities there. But from time to time, we pay attention to some individual names as well. And CVX is one of them that I'm paying close attention to. Why? I'll give you the rationale right here. CVX on the yearly, directional. So bulls are in control. Monthly, directional. Bulls are in control. Quarterly, directional. Bulls are in control. Weekly, directional. Bulls are in control. CVX, not at all-time highs quite yet. So what do we see on the daily? On the daily, CVX went double inside. So 2 days of indecision. Double inside, 2 days of indecision. Okay, so if CVX breaks above this 2 days of indecision, right, at 167.31, we can see a nice push into 169.37, right? You just have to define your risk now. You just have to define your risk, all right? So now CVX looks very, very interesting going into Tuesday. Again, if XLE starts to pick up some speed, that'd be great. What does this translate to on the 12-hour? You can see it, right? You can see it. It doesn't take rocket science to see it, right? What does it translate to on the 1 hour? You can see it as well. Do you guys see this? Okay. Do you guys see this? Put I see it if you see it. I put I see it if you see it. This kind of leads us into that break. All right. So CVX is on high watch for me going into the week. Next name is Lulu. Lulu can't seem to catch a break. Lulu's on the verge of going 3 down on the year. Lululemon, that is. Lululemon is inside on the year, inside on the quarter, inside on the month, inside on the week. But this weekly candle is as bearish as can be. So Lulu does look very interesting for the shorts. Lulu below 235, and if it can break below those EMAs, Lulu can start to the downside. Lulu tried to make a run back the upside, came with this prior support, turned resistance, retrace, reject, smacked off of it, pushing back the downside. So Lulu to the downside on the weekly below 236 will be critical. You can look at the 200 psychological level as well. That's going to be in that area. And of course, on the daily, guys, that translates to a daily candle that's inside. So Lulu, right, it's on the verge of becoming directional on the weekly, potentially impacting that monthly, potentially impacting that quarterly, potentially impacting that yearly. So it might be a little early on the shorts on Lulu, but pay attention to Lulu for a potential pushback to downside. On the daily, that would require us to get below these EMAs and potentially entertain the jaws of this gap. So Lulu there. Next name, DoorDash. DoorDash is selling off on the weekly, 4 consecutive weeks. 3 consecutive weeks of selling on DoorDash. We're coming to the jaws of the potential gap here. So now DoorDash, right, it got above that 200, can't seem to hold above that 200. But what's appealing to me is this double inside on the monthly, looking to potentially trigger. Double inside on the monthly, looking to potentially trigger. And of course, we break below that 269, 259 territory. That the lows of the prior week, not this week, the prior week, will trigger that push the downside on the monthly. So the monthly candle is about to trigger on DoorDash. It's about to go 212 continuation and potentially fall all the way to that 180 territory on DoorDash. So DoorDash again looks very interesting as well. The downside on the shorts. On the daily, what that looks like is, okay, we made this push. We made this push on DoorDash. We made an attempt at those highs, right? We made an attempt at those highs, get above that 200 maybe for some time, and can sustain above, where's my arrow? Can sustain above those highs. Now, we're on the verge, okay? We're on the verge. We're kind of in the middle. We're on the verge of continuing to push to these lows here, right? So we already failed, and now the question is, do we have enough weakness to continue to push the downside? If you believe we have enough weakness, but you want a better entry, you're going to have to wait for some sort of bounce and another breakdown into those lows. Okay, so bounce, right? Maybe a nice little bounce and nice little formation like this, and then a break. All right, so it depends on how you want to take advantage of it. But if you're a strat trader, you know once the break is there, you take the break. Okay, you take the break, you define risk, you take the break. Next name we're paying attention to here is GE. Okay, the reason why I like GE, another industrial name, is because GE, guys, is directional on the yearly, on the quarterly, on the monthly, inside on the weekly. So GE is due for a breakout here to the upside on the weekly. All right, so GE above 328.03 will be critical. 328.03 will be critical. And on the daily, GE translates to, if you recall, guys, GE did a reverse stock split. Okay, Who recalls GE doing a reverse stock split? All right, so GE on the daily, we got a nice little. What do you guys see on GE? What do we see on GE here? Does that look bullish or bearish on GE? Right, GE did a reverse stock split. I believe it was in 22 or 21. Right, so GE is potentially going to look to break out here possibly if we see industrials continue to push. If we see defense industrials pushing this week, okay, GE can go direction on all those time frames. Next name, Microsoft. We're almost done, guys. We're going over 30 names. I know it's a lot. I'm trying to provide as much value to all our viewers as possible. Again, so if you have any questions, I'm going to go through all the tickers you put in the chat. So again, continue to put your tickers in the chat. Again, exactly, flag. All right, so next we're taking a look at Microsoft. Microsoft, sleeping giant. We know Microsoft is a sleeping giant, but it's just fast asleep. Right, Microsoft is at this territory where it's inside on the daily. It broke below the 200 EMA. Right, come on, Microsoft. Right, broke below the 200 EMA. Microsoft. If you're a dip buyer, you're encouraged. If you're a dip buyer looking to open a position, you love Microsoft. Fundamentally, you're encouraged. It's at about 18% discount, guys. Microsoft's at an 18% discount, right? So if you're waiting for a 20% discount, you want Microsoft to drop potentially into that 443 territory. But unfortunately, Microsoft, okay, of course we have earnings coming up, so a lot of things can change, right? But from the chart, from a technical perspective, Microsoft, two things, multiple things, but we'll start with the two things first. Fell below 200 EMA. No buyer stepped in off this prior resistance here. Minimal interest there, okay? No one stepped in. Sliced right through it with minimal regard, which is surprising, right? And then now, Microsoft is inside on the daily. On top of that, is inside, right? Consolidating. We can also see Microsoft is directional on the weekly. So Microsoft actually sold off this entire week. Actually gave up, guys. Microsoft gave up that 50 EMA on the weekly. The last time it did that, okay, it was in April. So it has not given up that level since April. Tariff time. All right. Now when we take a look at Microsoft on the weekly, is going to confirm being bullish once it breaks below that weekly low. Let's take a look at Microsoft on the monthly. Microsoft can't seem to catch a break here. We went shooter, bearish, inside, bearish. All right. So this January candle on Microsoft is as bearish as can be. All right. So Microsoft is selling off on the monthly as well. If we take a look at the quarterly, guys, Microsoft is selling off on the quarter as well. So Microsoft now is selling off on the quarter. Granted, the monthly candle and the quarterly candle are the same. There's no separation between those two candles until February candle is birthed on the monthly. All right, so granted, it's going to be the same thing, right? So again, Microsoft can't seem to catch a break. Potential nice little breakdown on Microsoft brewing below this 456.68 breakdown. If it gets back above these highs, at 463.32, it could potentially go reversal. But Microsoft has a long way to go before I'm convinced that Microsoft is going to show any signs of life. It needs to reclaim this. All right. So if I'm going to be bullish on Microsoft outside of a dip buy, right, I'm keeping it on this reclaim. Right now there's resistance. Okay, there's resistance. Right. So Microsoft continues to sell off, and just can't seem to catch a break. So next name, Berkshire is the next name. We know Berkshire, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger built the company over 50, 60 years. Warren Buffett did retire last year. And now Berkshire is at this 200 EMA. 200 EMA on the daily. We can see Berkshire sitting at support. This might be a long-term idea more than an option trade. So if you do trade, if you do buy names for long-term, if you do dollar cost averaging, or if you buy names at dips off 200 EMAs, Berkshire is something you want to evaluate. Berkshire is something you want to evaluate. It's sitting at that 200 EMA, sitting right at support on the daily. We can all see that. Okay, Berkshire right there. We can see on the weekly, we're seeing some weakness. On the monthly, we're inside. On the quarterly, right, we're inside. All Berkshire needs to do, okay, I wouldn't be surprised, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if Berkshire takes this path. Let me show you. I'll explain, all right? I wouldn't be surprised, okay? I always tell my team, I always tell the people who watch, I always say have the foresight to have hindsight, all right? So you don't want to be a fortune teller, but I wouldn't be surprised if Berkshire, all right, uses this territory as support after being confirmed, starts to climb back up, all right, and starts to put pressure on that 517 territory. If it can use that, if it can use this as support. If it fails this support, no signs of life, what would be the confirmation that it holds? A break above this candle's high. Okay, 495.69, 495.70. That would be the confirmation. All right, so Berkshire at a very interesting place there. Next name, Deere. Okay, Deere, ticker symbol DE. John Deere, that is. Okay, John Deere is on the verge of making an all-time high. We're directional on all the time frames. Okay, and John Deere is right at this inside candle on John Deere. So John Deere, all right, another industrial name in the Dow. John Deere above 516.80. That pushes us into all-time highs, right? So it goes 212 break, continues to push. So John Deere is on watch. Last but not least, TMO in the XLV sector, healthcare sector, Thermo Fisher. TMO, reason why it's interesting, directional on the yearly, directional on the quarter. When I say directional, it means that it already taken out that candle's high. So on the yearly, we're already above 2025's highs. Same thing for the quarter, same thing for the month, same thing for the week, but we just pull them back slightly. And so if Thermo Fisher, we're starting to see a lot of selling pressure, a lot of wicks activity here, a lot of selling pressure at those wicks there, right? Thermo might be at a level of exhaustion, right? Even though it's directional, if it can break below, if healthcare shows weakness, if it can break below these lows, we can potentially see Thermo slide a little bit to the downside, below that 618.36. If it breaks above these highs, right, then it continues to push the upside, right? But I highly doubt anything can happen. The gap ups happen. I highly doubt we're going to make a run above this without a catalyst in the healthcare space for Thermo. So keep a close eye on XLV. Thermo is already at nearing all-time highs, so it'll be very difficult for it to continue to push higher. And that's the last name on the list. Again, guys, we went over 30 names. If you have any questions about those 30 names, put in the chat. Let's go over our usual suspects. We'll go over your tickers, and then we'll wrap it up here. All right, if you're a first-time viewer, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to smash the like button. If you want us to do more of these every Sunday to give as much value as possible to get you ready for the entire week, right? I always say the stock market is always providing opportunities every single day. And there's too many opportunities, right? So I don't mind sharing and providing value from that standpoint. But you guys are gonna have to like the video. You're gonna have to share it, and we'll continue to do that. So let's go to our bird's eye view list real quick. We'll go over a couple of names. We have SoFi in the chat. We have, what else do we have? We have SoFi. I'll do SoFi. We have any other names? We have SPXL. All right. So Google. We talked about Google, right? We talked about Google. I'm paying attention to Google. Okay. Tesla. I watch these names every day. Tesla. Starting to break there. Broadcom. Lilly. Okay. Lilly, nice inside candle on Lilly. Right. The reason why I mentioned Lilly is very pricey, but inside candle on Lilly. Amazon. We talked about Amazon as well. That inside candle on Amazon for potential push to the upside. Meta potential flag back to the downside. Palantir, we talked about Palantir. JPM, right? JPM, nothing too clean there. Apple, we talked about Apple. Robinhood, we talked about Robinhood. Nvidia can't seem to catch a break. And those are the main names. Okay, so let's go over SoFi. Netflix, we'll go over SoFi, we'll go over Netflix. We'll do a top-down analysis, and then we'll wrap it up. I was planning for this thing to go for 15, 20, 30 minutes. We did go for an hour. So hopefully you guys are enjoying. Okay, so we are on SoFi. Let's take a look at SoFi from the yearly. Okay, SoFi, we've been watching SoFi since for a long time. A couple of our group members have SoFi, and they're long-term. I've been enjoying the gains, but we traded SoFi multiple times last year for some massive gains. So nonetheless, SoFi on the yearly is inside. It simply means it's still trading within 2025's range. That's fine. So for SoFi to become directional on the yearly, it needs to get above that 32.73. 32.73 is going to be the trigger. If we get above 32.73, that means we're going to be bullish on the yearly. Okay, so 32.73 is going to be the all-time high. It's also going to be the trigger for us to be bullish on the yearly. All right, so that's noted. Now, let's drop down to the quarterly. On the quarterly, guys, SoFi is showing some signs of slowdown, right? Is showing some signs of slowdown, right? We are seeing a little bit of slowdown on SoFi. We do have some doji. Okay, so SoFi is still inside in the quarter. I don't want any of this to alarm anyone from out of their positions. I don't want any of this analysis to make you sell or buy anything. This is just my opinion. All right, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. All right, so again, SoFi is showing a nice little shooter / doji candle from, of course, last quarter, and this quarter it's inside. If SoFi can break below 23.59, then it's going to confirm that it's going to reverse back the downside. If you're looking for a dip buy opportunity on SoFi, that might be a great opportunity. But we know we're still inside there, so that's still up for grabs. If we can get above this candle's high prior to getting below those lows, then we're bullish. So the only thing is, anytime SoFi has those candles and those massive wicks, we start to see some pushback. Right? This is very reminiscent to me, guys. It's very reminiscent of 2021. What candle do we get here on 2021? Right? We got a nice little shooter. We had a breakdown. So now on 2026, this candle here. Right? So again, we'll keep a close eye on SoFi. It's still up for grabs. It's still up for debate. A lot of back and forth right now. So no decision on the monthly. No decision on the quarterly. Let's drop down to the no decision on the yearly. No decision on the quarterly. Let's drop down to the monthly real quick. On the monthly, we're seeing 2 back-to-back months where we're consolidating. 2 back-to-back months where we're consolidating. All right. In December and in January, SoFi has not really gone anywhere. It's been range bound. Right. So SoFi has been range bound for the past 2 months. So we know there's a pretty significant move brewing. All right. Once we break below these lows, break below those highs, we know there's pretty significant move brewing. SoFi has been on a historic tear. Okay. Historic tear for how many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-month run. 8-month run. It's never done that before. Right. It's never been on an 8-month run before. The last run that I had to the downside was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So SoFi, you can say, hey, SoFi might be due for a pullback. Okay. If you're in that camp, SoFi might be due for a pullback. You're not wrong to think that. And you're just waiting for a nice little opportunity between the 2022 territory, 20 territory. That's not a bad line of thinking. Right. So SoFi, let that consolidation sort itself out. But now when we drop down to the weekly, does this weekly chart look clean or does it look messy? Does this weekly chart translates to 2 months of going nowhere? SoFi, when it goes, it goes. Okay, when it goes, the going is good. When it doesn't go, this can be some signs of early exhaustion if buyers don't start stepping in. Okay, if buyers don't start stepping in. All right, so again, SoFi, we'll keep an eye on that. And on the daily, a little concern here as well. SoFi is looking to crack that 50 MA. All right, not only the 50 MA, but the frequency at which it visited the 50 MA. One thing you want to know, guys. Okay, quick tip. When price comes to a particular EMA, especially the 50 MA, 100 EMA, 200 EMA, significant, powerful EMAs that could potentially lead to shift in the trend, right? You want to see them touch that EMA. This is the marker of a bull trend. You want to see them touch the EMA and not come back to it for some time. You don't want constant visitations. You don't want it to bounce and then come back, bounce and then bounce. That means it's running out of fuel. So we can see SoFi, okay, prior to that run, okay, SoFi, when it's above that 50 MA, right, it doesn't really come back and touch it. Once it touches it, that's usually the sign of that exhaustion, right? So again, now SoFi, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. And what does that translate to? That translates to somewhat of a symmetrical triangle on SoFi, which further confirms the fact that it's consolidating. So SoFi, pay close attention to SoFi, right? If it starts to break down, it might provide a nice little dip buy opportunity. SoFi is only, from those all-time highs, is discounted for, 21%. 21%. So if SoFi comes at 200, that's about a 29-30% discount, right? So that's going to be that 20-23 territory. So SoFi, keep a close eye on SoFi as we continue to progress. I'll throw in a bit. SoFi gonna rock after the 30th, possibly. It can, right? Anything can happen. We do have earnings. Keep in mind, guys, we're heading into earnings season. When earnings season kicks in, anything can happen. Netflix needs earnings to rescue it. Netflix needs earnings to rescue it. Netflix needs earnings to come to the rescue. The last thing it needs is to report earnings, okay? And missed last time. That's not good. Report earnings and then gap down another 15, 20 points, right? So Netflix needs those earnings. Netflix is coming to this interesting territory between that 80, 85, 80 territory. Things do look interesting. We do have prior support, right? First touch, second touch, third touch, fourth touch possibly. If Netflix sells off, it doesn't have enough room to sell off, to be honest. Why do I say that? Because it has earnings on Tuesday. Right? So put in the chat. Does Netflix rocket from earnings, or does Netflix gap down, or does Netflix just continue to sell off? Okay. Rocket or crash? Rocket or crash on Netflix. It can be interesting. Netflix, I do like Netflix. That 85 territory does look interesting as well. But more than likely, guys, if Netflix does react poorly to the earnings, we can't possibly get below 85 with a gap down. That's not a stretch. If it reacts positive to the earnings, I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix gets back above 95 on 100. Right? So Netflix is at a critical inflection point here. From those all-time highs, Netflix is down 35%. So Netflix is in bear market territory. Okay? Netflix is in pure bear market territory. And Netflix seems to be going down. All right, any other tickers that I missed? So we went over SoFi, we went over Netflix, we went over Hood, we went over, there was an ETF that someone put in the chat earlier. SPXL, okay, that's 3-time leveraged SPY, so it's very similar to SPY. There's another ETF. Let me go through the chat. Again, guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying the content. If you want me to do more of these, I can do more of them on Sundays. Okay, where is... That's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much all I got. Again, keep in mind, we do have some catalysts this week. We do have some major catalysts. If you want to access all those catalysts, make sure to join the free tier Discord. If you want to trade with me, trade with our community live, make sure to join our community. Go to smartactiontrade.com. Go to smartactiontrade.com. I'll drop the link here. If you're a first-time viewer, jump in our free community. You have access to a 24/7 stock market newsfeed, catalyst, event calendar, free trading journal, educational tools, resources, daily giveaway. If you're ready to level up and lock in for the month, there's a trial available. I take 15 students at a time, right? $50 a month. Use the code TRIAL30, save 25% off your first month. See if you like it, see if it's your cup of tea. Once you do take that trial, what do you get access to? You get access to my 6-hour live options, my 6-hour options trading, get started options trading course, live training with me every single day, 4 hours, live trading and training, pre-market prep stream. I provide you with the game plan. I provide you everything you need, high winner ideas in real time. Everything we do, all the education we do is in real time. So there's nothing where I'm just sending you something and you deal with it. So we do it together as a community. We're building it sustainably. If you're ready to lock in for the year, you can do that as well. You get access to our full year access to our community, one-time payment every 12 months, boot camp ticket, coaching call, everything you need. If you're looking to take advantage of the courses, right? I do have 2 courses. One is the boot camp, January 31st, and one is the self-paced course. This one you can do on your own. It goes over everything you need to know, and everything is priced at a steal. All right, so ton of content for you to really immerse yourself in trading for a beginner, to refine and sharpen your skills if you're in the middle of your career, and of course to patch any holes you may have. We'll go over a ton of things in there, so make sure to get your course. If you have any tickers, put in the chat. If not, guys, we'll wrap it up here. So again, do me a favor and smash the video, smash the like button, and subscribe. Here's the links. Here's the links to everything you need. All right. So everyone should be in the free tier. Free tier, no strings attached. When you're ready to level up, go to join. And when you go to join, use the code TRIAL30. Use the code TRIAL30. That saves you another 25%. Another 25%, and the courses and everything is available here. Any last questions? Any questions? Let me know. If not, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you found value. Enjoy your long weekend. The market is closed tomorrow. Any strikers that are viewing this content, we do have a video dropping, so be on the lookout for the video. It will be on YouTube as well. My YouTube members, folks who are on a YouTube membership, you're going to have access to that video. That video breaks down a strategy I like to use, a momentum strategy to avoid getting chopped up and to strategically take advantage of the second leg. You're going to enjoy that video. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Strikers, we'll see you guys on Tuesday, 9 a.m. So have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your night. And God bless each one of you.
Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results? You're not alone. That's exactly why the SPY Strikers Trading Mentorship Discord community was created. Here, you can trade just one ticker for 1 hour and make strides towards consistent results. Join the SPY Strikers community and get daily live trading, clear pre-market game plans with key levels and high probability buy and sell zones, over 4 hours of delay-free, ad-free live trading and training, plus high win rate trade alerts, automated technicals that simplify charts, and full access to my strategies and indicators. This isn't a signal service. It's a community focused on process over profits, giving you all the resources, guidance, and training to help you succeed. You'll also get a full watch list, 1,500 plus hours of live trading videos, courses, an educational library, ebooks, and dedicated support. Stop guessing. Start trading with confidence. Become a SPY Striker today, and take your trading to the next level. Tired of wasting hours staring at charts, over-analyzing trades, and still ending the day with inconsistent results?